Alright, I'm going to show you guys how to make a two-piece pocket door with a panel. Mozaik has quite a bit of two-piece doors, but they don't have the option to route out a pocket and insert a panel as well. I had called support, and they gave me a few options, but I ended up coming up with this one. And so basically, we're going to create two doors, and then we're going to have one with a panel and one without a panel. And so you come in here to your doors. I basically copied my skinny shaker and I got it right here, my two-piece skinny shaker. And so my panel here is a pocket, and then I got my rails and stiles at 15/16 with a 1/4 inch recess because I want a 1/8 inch recess by the time my panel goes in. And so that's all well, you just leave that how that is. And then we're going to come in and make another copy of that, but this time we're going to do a separate panel. So here's my panel cut, and right here you can see I got separate panel. And I found it was better to do this in millimeters. So for me, this is what I settled on. Point 0.5, point 0.5, point 0.5, the point 0.8, that's just my radius. And so I do a 30-second radius, I do it with a 16th bit. And so these numbers seem to be pretty tight. Here's a picture of the door here. And so this just kind of gets away from some of those issues if you're having a hard time getting a flat panel by just hogging it out. And so after it's all said and done, you're going to come in to your settings and then basically just cycle back and forth. So when I go to do my cut list, I'll have it on shaker two-piece. And you'll have to do this for the drawer fronts as well, make another door for those. Then you go in here, you optimize it, and that's going to cut out your door. Come on, you slow computer. All right, there we go. All right, so here we got my door, and it's gonna be, uh, you know, cabinet one, door one. And so after that, we just cycle back, and then we swap this setting to my panel, skinny panel. And now when I go to my cut list, I'm gonna select my 1/8 inch material, optimize that, optimize, and basically now I'm just cutting my panel out. And I will tell you 1/8 inch material is a little bit difficult, at least on my machine, to cut. The dust collection actually wants to suck it off the table. So when I do my second pass, I like to leave a skin. I do my second pass and I just lift the dust cover, and that keeps the part down. But this is really cool because it basically will label all your panels and your doors as same parts, so it's really easy to sort them out afterwards. And then one thing you're going to need to know is when you go in here, when you go to your material templates, you're going to go to your doors and you need to create a new template. And that way you can set your panel thickness to whatever you want. I have another one with a 1/4 inch panel. And then I have a setup too for wider rails and stiles. And one thing to think about though is those numbers for the panel outset. Um, For my tooling, I do a full pass with my 16th bit, and so you got to set these up to basically cut as deep as you want. So I got my 1/8 inch right here. This is just for my pocket, and then when I'm doing a pocket with a panel, I'm going to use the 1/4 inch. And so, but if you can tell, I have an offset on my 3/8, I have an offset on my 1/8 inch, but I don't have an offset on my 16th. And so, depending on what your offset is, this actually bites into my material a little bit more. So my rail and style end up being 7/8 versus 15/16. but I found that's the best way for me to get a square corner and keep the door square because if I don't do it like that, either the bit is deflecting a little bit or it's just not cleaning it out fully and I get a little arch in the corners. And so these numbers work with this setup with that zero offset on the 1/16th. Um, oh, and so you can kind of play around with those and figure out what works best, but so far that's been working pretty good. I just did my first, bigger job with this setup and it's been working out pretty well.